We are Heaven's Own. To my far left is Susan Simpkins. She's the baby of the group. She's from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Deanna Tackett, who's Fayetteville, North Carolina. Her husband, Jackie Tackett, lives in Fayetteville. And I'm Kenny McMullen, and I live in Fayetteville. And this song is called When God Has Another Plan. And if you plan your life around your own plans, and you think the direction that you're going is the right direction, or if you think that you're the pilot of your plane, then you better switch seats and let God be the pilot, because His plan is the plan that counts, and His will get you to where you're going in life. Your plan will fail.
Brothers didn't fit the scene. Being made a slave was not what Joseph dreamed. The coat of many colors was stained with blood and lies, but from this divine appointment a ruler would arise. Has another plan. Walk on and just say yes when God has another plan. Be assured that He knows best. When all your dreams are shattered, rest in His sufficient grace. We don't have to understand. God has another plan. Alone and broken hearted, questions fill your mind. Changes can be hard, they come by God's design. But if you could see tomorrow with a view from heaven's throne, every unexpected struggle has led you closer home. When God has another plan, walk on and just say yes. When God has another plan, be assured that He knows best. We don't have to understand. No, we don't have to understand. When God has another plan.
I'm Wilbur and Jimmy Hall, and this is Channel 98, the Letcher County Government Channel. And today we're going to go back into the past and bring you up to the present. I'm here with Jackie Tackett. Jackie, would you tell us when you were born and where you were born, and just a little bit about your early and middle and last life?
Well, actually I was born down Smoky Road in April of '46. And we stayed down there and eventually moved down Dorton and traveled around some, and eventually ended up living back in Jenkins in a trailer we bought off you, as a matter of fact.
That's right. I remember those days. Those were the good days. And you worked for Tackett and Manning?
Worked for Donnie and Calvin up in the little coal company they had up there. And when I first moved back, I stayed with them till I went in business on my own, and done a little welding, lived in that particular field.
Okay, now you've been gone for quite a few years, and it's good to see you back in this area. and you have a singing group that you're with now.
Fortunate enough to God has put together our group. It's called Heaven's Own, and a really close-knit group of God-fearing Christian people who sing about what they believe. I've been really fortunate enough to meet up with them through the grace of God. And through the grace of God, I've come out of a really deep valley in my life back to this point where I am in life. We all make mistakes, I guess, along the way, and as I guess like Peter did, I took my eyes off the master at one time and sunk. But fortunately, my God is a forgiving God, and his hand will reach down a whole lot farther than ours will reach up. And he drug me out of a pit and brought me back to where I am, and I'm really grateful for that.
That's great. And I would like you to mention, go back in the past, the group that you were with here at this is the Fundamental Baptist Church up in Dunham, and the pastor's Van Webb. And reminisce on some of those times back then. We had started off with a little group up here, and God kind of brought them together at that time. And Billy Mullins was playing guitar, and my wife Deanna sung with us, and her daddy Ivory Conley, and of course Sandra sung with us, your wife. And we really had a good time traveling around singing at that time, and the Lord was really good to us. Van allowed us to pretty well sing the way we wanted to in church through the grace of God, and that we really enjoyed that. And we got a lot of fond memories of this church. So this church was the beginning for me, actually. This church, of course, this church and God, but this organization here was really where I really got involved with God. And this part here is really not the original church.
No, this part here is actually a new addition that Van became pastor. The church got together and they built this section on here. The little section over there used to be it, and since then they built a fellowship hall outside and another building. And Van has done a good job of he's been a good gatekeeper for God's house all these years.
He's been a rock in this church. That's true. So what are you going to be singing today? Are you going to be singing any original songs or just?
We kind of like to let the Lord lead today in whatever we do. We got several songs that He's blessed us with. We particularly like "Can't Even Walk" and "Father's House" and "Hold Me While I Cry," and some songs like that He's blessed us with. We like to. Most generally, God will give us the songs we want to give. We don't usually pick them out ourselves most of the time. He'll usually just show us what we need to try to sing.
And earlier we did, Brother Van led us in prayer and praying that God's Spirit would come in. And, you know, you can sing and sing well. But if the Spirit's there, you can sing and sing a whole lot better. If you're singing and it's just singing just without God in it, it's just a bunch of noise and doesn't accomplish anything but a headache sometimes. God is the essence of what gospel music's all about. The words to glorify Him. I give you a quick anecdote. We sung in a church one night, and the sound system was just fine. The singing was fine. The everything was just okay. I mean, nothing, no feedbacks on sound system or anything like that. And the church clapped and things like that. And then we sat down, and this old guy, about 75 years old, without music, stood up and sung a song, couldn't carry a note in a paper bag, sung a song called "God Made a Change in Me." And God blessed that song in that church, and we had one of the finest meetings that you was ever around. So it's not the singing, it's the essence of God in it that makes the difference, really. That's right, Brother Jackie. I tell you, I've been in meetings with maybe 200-300 people, and without the Spirit, it's just not any good. And I've been in with just a few people. He said, where there's as many as 2 or 3 gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. And he's saying that's who we're singing for and about. It has nothing to do with anything else in the world. The most blessed times of my life is when we were going over some music here yesterday. It was just a blessing to be here, and God really blessed us, and the Spirit was flowing, and man was even shouting a little bit, and that makes it really good. That's right. That's what you look for. It's what you pray for. Now, you live now in,
We live in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We belong to a little church called Friendship Baptist Church in Hope Mills. It's a little town. It's sort of like Dunham Jenkins, you know. That's kind of that setup. But a little church in Hope Mills, and we go to church there. And Kenny McMullen, who sings with us, does a lot of lead, is a deacon, and he's just been ordained pastor or a preacher in that church. And really, we really have a good time there.
how long did it take you to drive up?
Well, it normally take about 6 hours. Well, we actually did pretty good. It was probably somewhere around 7-8 hours.
Well, the new roads have improved that a lot.
Big time.
I remember it used to take like 15 hours to drive to Michigan, and you probably do it in 8 or 9.
Yeah, there are a lot of super highway between here and there now. Yeah.
Well, Jackie, before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
Well, just the fact, I'd like to mention the fact that of my son, who I'm really proud of. He went to school at Jenkins High School, and he's in the military. He likes about 3 years retiring. He graduated from West Point, and he's a lieutenant colonel. He's serving in Iraq now. As a matter of fact, he was home a few days ago for 2 weeks and just went back to finish his tour in Iraq. And I'm especially proud of him. I had the opportunity to serve in Vietnam, which I'm proud of, and my heart goes out to people in a combat war zone, because unless you're there, you can never really explain what it's actually like. I have been fortunate to the closest person I was with in Vietnam, and I still talk to him today, about 40 years later, and that has been really good for us. Well, I mean, we actually was there together and reminiscing through the years. We've kept in contact. But I'm truly proud of my son and the people in our military. This country really needs to appreciate them.
That's true, and he was a graduate of Jenkins High School.
Jenkins High School.
In
Salutatorian.
Salutatorian, and they won a real important football game that year. Was it Pikeville they beat?
Pikeville they beat, yeah. Pikeville they beat that year, that's right.
That's back when Pikeville had the powerhouse, and nobody hardly ever beat them, and so I just wanted the folks to know he did graduate from Jenkins.
Yeah, and they had a good track team, too.
Mr. Charlie Dixon,
Yeah,
I think,
Charlie
was
Dixon.
part of that. So, anything else?
No, that about covers it for me.
Well,
I appreciate the opportunity, and this church, it just floods me with memories because so much happened here. And I thank God we've had the opportunity to come back and be here for this occasion.
that's wonderful, and I hope God blesses you today.
Thank you.
Our next song is called Calvary's the Reason Why. Without Calvary, there would be no us, because God was fed up with us. He was ready to destroy us all, but he sent his son to die so that we may live. And he chose Calvary as the place for that to happen.
I was lost, but you knew where to find me. I was hungry, you were bread for my soul. I was thirsty, and you gave living water. Shelter when I had no place to go.
That's why sometimes I just want to praise you. Sometimes just to speak your name. Sometimes I just want to thank you.
the love that you've given. Lord, when I think of the price you paid for me, and the trials on this earth, they just seem like nothing, but they're compared to dark Calvary.
That's why sometimes I just want to praise you. Sometimes just to see your name. Sometimes I just want to thank you without asking you for a thing. For sometimes I lift my hands to you. Sometimes all I do is cry. Everything that I have, I owe to you. Lord, at Calvary's the reason why. That's why sometimes I just want to praise you. Sometimes just to see your name. Sometimes I just want to thank you without asking you for a thing. Well, sometimes I lift my hands to you. Sometimes all I do is cry. Everything that I have, I owe to you. Lord, and Calvary's the reason why. Everything that I have, I owe to you. Lord, and Calvary's the reason
Okay, we're back here at the Fundamental Baptist Church, and I'm with Jackie Tackett's wife, Miss Deanna Conley Tackett. You want to tell us where you were born and when you were born? And
I was born here in Jenkins in 1946 of June. Raised here all of my life.
okay, you attended Jenkins High School.
Jenkins High School.
You had one real good teacher, didn't you?
You weren't my teacher, actually, though.
Well, I was there.
You were there.
The influence rubbed off on
Right.
you. Tell us a little bit about your dad. He was a big part of this church at one time.
Big part of this church and a big part of my life. Probably the greatest, spiritual influence I ever had in my life was my dad. Because he truly lived what he spoke and lived about, and that's how he was all the time. The same always.
And I knew Brother D. Conley before I was a Christian. And I always thought, after I became a Christian, if D. Conley didn't make it to heaven, I'd just quit right now.
That's what Jackie's always said.
Because he was always with the Lord on his mind. And he was a great help to this church, a great influence to all the people of Dunham and Jenkins. So, how long have you been with this group?
It's been about a year and a half, 2 years, almost 2 years.
Okay, do you all travel a lot?
No, not a lot. We just mostly local. We're in Fayetteville where we live.
But you do have some CDs?
We just made a CD, just finished it.
I'm glad. That's a great thing. You know, I always said good singing beats bad preaching anytime. So a lot of times you can get the Spirit through the singing, and maybe the preacher not blessed as well as he should be. And when's the last time you spoke to Darrell?
Actually, just the other day, he called us. As Jackie said, he just went back to Iraq, so we talked to him the night before he left. He enjoyed his visit home with his family and should be coming home in the next 3 months or so, we hope.
Okay, you might want to mention your mom and your brothers and sisters.
My mom is down the Conley and lives here in Jenkins, and my brother Rex, Sherry, my sister Sherry lives in Hazard, and my sister Jennifer lives right up here in Dunham, comes to this church.
Yeah, her and Kyle lived there a long time, and that was in the house that you were raised in.
That I was raised in,
A lot of time has gone by. Sure glad that you all are coming back here and going to sing for us, and maybe you'll get to see some old friends you haven't seen.
I sure am hoping so, and it's a blessing to be here.
In a long time. Is there anything you'd like to say before I let you go?
Just that I'm glad I'm saved. I'm glad we've got a merciful God. I thank him for being able to be here. Thank him for Brother Van, for allowing us to come, and for the faithful minister of God that he's always been, faithful friend. And I just thank God, because without God I wouldn't be anything, couldn't do anything, and I love him, and I want. That was what I would say to the world, or my family, or anybody else. Is I love God, and if you don't know him, then that's the best thing you'll ever do, is get to know my Savior.
That's right, and I'm glad that his Spirit bears witness with our spirit that we're children of God, an heir of Jesus.
Amen.
And so we're going to inherit something in the end.
Our name is Heaven's Own, is what we call ourselves, and sometimes we feel more like David's rejects. But God has been good to us, and he's faithful, thank God, when we're not. I praise him for that.
Amen.
And the song that I'm going to sing is, I call it my theme song, because, again, I say that those of you that know me know this is true of my life, and had it not been for God and his faithfulness, I don't know where I would be. But I thank him. He's always there in the midst of our storm. And the name of the song is Ride Out Your Storm.
Well, it seems like forever.
Okay, we're back here at the Fundamental Baptist Church. Could you tell the folks out there your name and when you were born and where you were born?
My name is Susan Simpkins. I was born June 11th, 1964 in Hope Mills, North Carolina.
And who were your parents?
Ernest and Jeanette Trogdon. They're both deceased now, but they raised me. I was raised in church. I went to church every Sunday, Wednesday. I guess you could say I was one of those drug addicts that was drugged to church every Sunday.
A lot of people have that history. So you graduated from...
Southview Senior High School in Hope Mills, North Carolina.
Okay. And what field of endeavor have you pursued since then?
I've been with KinderCare Learning Center for about 26 years. I'm an assistant director there.
What ties do you have back to Eastern Kentucky?
I married Gregory Simpkins. He was from Jenkins, and Phyllis and Charlie Simpkins were his parents, and his brother is Chuck.
Yeah, I know Chuck, and I knew Charlie and Phyllis, and I think Jackie pointed out to me that they were baptized here.
They sure were.
Yeah, many years ago. Back at that time, this church really thrived. They baptized a lot of people. So what got you involved in this singing group?
We all attend the same church back at Hope Mills, and we enjoy each other's company, and we enjoy singing. We all love the Lord, and we all just fit together as a group.
Okay. Do you have some favorite songs that you like?
I do. I like Father's House and Hold Me While I Cry, and well, I like them all.
Do you travel much with your singing group?
We stay pretty local. We have been to Elizabethtown, North Carolina. We sing at White Lake, and that's an annual thing. In fact, we're scheduled to go down there next month.
Do you have any favorite artists that sing
I love
gospel
the
music?
Gaithers.
The Gaithers.
The Gaithers are one of my favorites, and Taranda Green.
There's a lot of groups out there.
There sure is.
And I like to watch the Gaithers on TV.
I do too, the homecoming
when they get together
video.
and sing. And how about your family?
I have 4 children and 5 grandchildren, all girls.
All girls.
All girls.
Are they all attending school or?
3 of them have graduated, and 1 is still in school.
Okay, and the grandchildren are not old enough
No, they
to
range
get
from
out of school yet.
They range from 2 months to 8 years.
Okay, had you been back up here before?
To Kentucky?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. So you're familiar with hillbillies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I married one.
That's good. Okay. And how do you like North Carolina?
Well, it's home for me, so that's my favorite place.
I guess you're a North Carolina Tar Heel.
I am.
We're Kentucky Wildcats, you know that. So we'll pray for you.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to elaborate on that I don't know about, which I don't know a lot about you?
Well, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to be here, and thank Pastor Van. We are excited to be here, and we're looking for great things to happen tomorrow.
Great. I hope God blesses you immensely.
Thank you.
You know, when you're hurting and you need someone to turn to, you can turn to God, and He'll hold you while you cry.
It's been one of those days when anything could go wrong. It went wrong. And now I'm feeling sorry for me. There's a lot of self-pity going on. Tomorrow I will be okay. The dawn will bring a brand new day, and I'm sure by then I'll be fine. Lord, you know I really need a friend. I know that you will understand. Would you hold me while of those days. I've been fought in every way. Will you hold me while I cry? While I cry.
And we're back here at the Fundamental Baptist Church. Tell us your name and when you were born and where you were born.
Well, my name's Kenny McMullen. I was born in Salem, Ohio, and never really lived there, but I lived in Youngstown after I was born there for just a short period, and then we moved to Parkersburg, West Virginia, where my parents were from, and I lived there for, I think, up through about the 5th grade, and we moved to Ohio, back to Ohio, and my wife had lived there at the time, and I met her there, of course, in high school. Well, actually, we started going together when I was in 7th grade, and we went together for quite some time, a few years, and then we kind of separated for a year or two, and then we went back together, and now we've been married for 40 years. And she's from Kentucky. She's from over around Russell Springs, and she has family lives over there. Her grandmother and all of them live over there. But I went in the Navy back in 1970, and spent 4 years in the Navy, and during that time we moved to Pensacola, Florida. And while I was down there, I was on an aircraft carrier, and we had a daughter while we lived down there named Stacy. And we left there and went back to Ohio, and things didn't work out, so we moved down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where my mother was at the time, and she had married a man that was in the Air Force, and so he retired, and they moved up to Fayetteville, where I had an uncle living. So I did a lot of traveling, you might say, but we kind of followed him up there, and that's where we've been ever since. And through the early years of being in Fayetteville, we had a son named Kenneth Jr., and we would go to church on and off with my mother and her husband, and it was real on and off. But we took my wife's mother in to live with us, and my mother had lost her husband, and so I kind of got talked into going to church on a regular basis, and we started going to Friendship Baptist Church, where we go now. And next thing you know, we're getting convicted. I'm sitting there in the pew, and everything that the preacher's saying is just killing me. And so one Sunday, my wife and I both went up the same time to get saved, and we got baptized in that church and joined the church, and went there for a long time, and we met Susan and knew her for quite some time before I met Jackie and Deanna. And one day this guy came into the church, and Susan said it was her uncle, I think, and they sang together. And so I didn't think a whole lot of it, and me and Jackie got to talking pretty good, and we became pretty good friends. And the more we hung around together, the more we realized that, we liked the same things. And he was kind of, I don't know how you would put that, but he didn't really give me direction of going for the Lord, because I knew where I wanted to go, and I knew I'd been saved and the Lord was my Savior and I loved Him. But Jackie kind of gave me the meat of the sandwich.
Okay.
I could ask him questions about things, and he would tell me, what was in the Bible, and we would look at the Bible and read things together, and he was just kind of I don't know, he was kind of a mentor to me for Christ, and he really made a huge difference in my life, which he probably doesn't realize, but up until now. But our pastor, Mr. Tom Hayes, he was probably the biggest mentor in my life, which led me to the Lord. And the longer that I was in the church, the stronger something kept drawing me to do something, and didn't really know what.
Right.
But one day they asked me to be a deacon, so I thought, well, maybe that's what's being asked. So I became a deacon in the church, and for a few years I was deaconing, but I still, there was something that was pulling me that I didn't know what it was, and you pray to God to give you the answers to things. And we had a revival in our church one time, and the guy that did the revival, I wasn't really looking forward to it because he had been there, I think, the week before, and I thought, well, that just wasn't too good, But when he did that revival, I'm telling you what, it just set a fire under me like no other. And ever since that day, I've been on fire for the Lord, and Jackie and Deanna were back together at that time, and we talked about getting together and singing, which we did just a little bit, and the more we did it, the more it sounded like that was something the Lord wanted us to do.
Right.
So Susan wanted to sing with Jackie and Deanna. That was part of her family, and so she'd always wanted to sing with them. So she came and sang with us a few times, and she loved it too. And when we sing, we sing songs that we feel like that the Lord's led us to sing.
Amen.
We don't sing what we want to sing. There's songs that I have CDs of songs that we have never sang, because the Lord just hasn't led us in that direction to sing those songs.
Yeah.
And but we've been together about 2 years now, called ourselves Heaven's Own, and the Lord has blessed our ministry. I still knew there was something calling in me. And one day I talked to my pastor and told him that, there was something there. And he said, well, why don't you preach for me this Sunday? So I did. And, well, next thing you know, I'm just, preaching, and the Lord's blessing me, and I got ordained to be a minister by the Southern Baptist Association. And last Sunday, I was ordained in our church to be a minister. And we had contacted, I think Jackie contacted Van, or no, I think Deanna came up here and they talked to her about us coming up and singing. So we'd all been talking about it for quite some time, and we finally got around to coming on up here and see what we could do. But the Lord brought us to where we are, and nothing happens without God on your side.
Amen. Brother Kenneth, I'd like to comment on just a little bit. When I was in church, a sinner, I'd say, how'd that preacher know that about me? He was preaching right to me.
Absolutely.
And there was a calling to preach. And there's a calling to be a pastor too. One brother said their problem is some was called and some was sent and some just up and went. So you need the people that God has called, and ask Him, and He'll put them in the right place, and they'll do the job.
Yes, sir.
It's been great talking with you, and I hope God blesses you all today. Is there anything you'd like to say before I let you go?
Well, I would like to give a special thanks to our church, Friendship Baptist Church, for allowing us to do what we do, and putting up with us sometimes. I would like to thank Jackie and Deanna for putting up with me, and Susan also. And also I'd like to thank the pastor of this church, Brother Van, for asking us to come and putting up with us. And, you know, above all, I want to thank God.
That's right.
Because without him,
We're nothing.
we're lost.
Yeah.
We're nothing.
Good.
This song's called Look for Me. When it comes your time and the Lord calls you home and you walk through them gates, you walk down that street of gold, look for me, because I'll be there. Jasper walls and bright golden avenue. As you behold all its beauty and its splendor, remember there's just one make of you. Look for me, for I will be there too. I realize when you arrive, there'll be so much to do. For I will be there too.
We're back here at the Fundamental Baptist Church with a person that, if you don't know him, I think about everybody knows him. You need to get to know him. This is the pastor of this church. Tell the folks your name and when you were born and where you were born.
Well, my name is Van Webb, and I was born on Crash Collie at Irvine there, on Crash Collie, and 1937. And that's where I went to school at, and in the school right up above us, we used to come home for lunch. We used to live close enough we could come home for lunch, and those days are gone now. The schoolhouses are gone, and school's been consolidated. But I will always remember those days because we had Bible teachers come in every so often and teach us from the Word, And that, I think, planted the seed in my heart at a young age, even though I didn't realize it till later on. And, so I'm just thankful for my mom and dad, and for that I had a wonderful mom and dad, and thankful for my family. And so that's about. I took after I went to school at Whitesburg in the early 50s there, and those are days I'll never forget. 51, 55, which that tells you age a whole lot. And looking back, anyway, those were wonderful days. But at my senior year, I got a part-time job. Just going on, is that what you want? I got a part-time job at the A&P, which was working the evenings, Saturdays, and those days was later on. After I got out of high school, I took and kept working there, and finally got on full time. But I got married before that. My wife Betty, she's the one that's always been my encourager and behind me, and without her, in the ministry, I could never, just without her help, I'm just so thankful for it. Anyway, we got married 56, and so after that, I was working with A&P, and I was a meat cutter, and I worked in the meat department and butcher, and A&P transferred me to Neon when they were building a new store, and then I transferred from that one to Corbin, and got to go. But while I was at Neon, I got working with a preacher, Grant Stallard, and he was all the time talking to me about the Bible, and witnessing to me, and so I got to go into church with him there at the Fleming Baptist Church, Missionary Baptist there in Fleming, and went home one Wednesday night with him after the Lord was working in my heart, and I went home with him after church. He's always inviting us to come up by a while, and I got saved in his house there.
Wonderful.
I always tell everybody at the church here, I say, I got saved by a warm morning heating stove, and God
good.
warmed up my heart.
There you go.
And that's the true story. I mean, which I'll never forget that day that I got saved, and then while I was in Corbin, the Lord began. We transferred. That was in Fleming when I was working with A&P and Neon. And then we got transferred to Corbin, and the Lord began to deal with my heart about the ministry, preaching, and so I did a lot of praying about that, and I was really burdened about it. And when I finally surrendered, to that call, I had the most peace I ever had. But before that, I just wrestling with, I knew that it was a calling from God, and I'm thankful that I did respond to that call.
Absolutely.
There was a call to salvation first, and a call to the ministry.
Right.
And then, as a pastor, I didn't never figure myself to be a pastor. I mean, but they was without a preacher over here, and I took and had a pastor that said, "Would you like to go over and preach for him?" I hadn't been preaching too long, but I said, I ain't preach nowhere but here. I'd preach on Sunday night some, and so I came over here and preached for him a time or two, and then they called me to be the pastor, and so that's how I got to be here. The Lord, He put me here, and
Right.
And I've been here several years, yeah.
Quite a few years, yeah.
Several years, yeah.
So you're still the pastor of this church?
Well, recently I thought, that maybe that I should give up pastoring, and prayed about it and thought I wanted to make the right decision, but it seemed like right now that I'm still be the pastor till the Lord sends somebody, to do it, and which I'm happy here and love to preach His word, and that's one thing, commitment, and you know how I mean, Brother Wilburn. I know when God calls you and you make that commitment to preach, as it says in the Bible, there's no discharge in this war. You mean in the
That's right.
there's no. You might get discharged in the army, but this call, you've got to keep doing what God would have you to do.
We'll die on the battlefield, won't we?
And we got to keep on preaching. My thoughts was about pastoring is that they might need to get a younger pastor or somebody that had been doing it, and I was willing to step aside. But that didn't work out right now, so I'm still the pastor.
Well, I heard about that, and several other people heard about it. The only response I ever heard was, "Lord, no, he can't quit pastoring at Fundamental Baptist Church." How long have you been here?
Well, let's see, about 44 years, I think I've been here as a member in about 44 years. Yeah.
You're kind of
I mean 44 years.
You're kind of stick in the building, aren't you?
Well, God, we was coming over here in the building over in the old, which is on the wall where we have a painting of the church as the old church, and we call the old church the building which they started in, and we had some of the finest folks, deacons and people that just had a heart for God, and from that we began to grow, and we outgrew over there, and then we built this new building, stepped out on faith, and I've always had I don't know, it's inbred in me, I guess, not to put the church in debt, so what we done, we took and stepped out on faith and built this church, this part, without, maybe we might borrow a certain amount, but pay it off in a certain amount of time, but we're thankful God really blessed, and helped in that way, and we just stepped out on faith, and we've seen a lot of people saved here that's in different churches now, serving God, and we're just thankful for it. Every soul that ever walked the aisle for Jesus here, I'm just thankful for it, and if I could have been a part in anybody's life, I'm thankful for that.
Well, I'm sure you have been. You've been a great influence on a lot of people. I remember coming to the old church,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember coming here and performing some weddings here and so forth.
We've always appreciated you, Brother Wilburn.
God has really, really blessed you. How's your wife Betty now?
Betty, she's doing good now. She had a knee replacement about 9 weeks ago, and she's coming along doing good. She started coming back to church for a while there. She had trouble, how it is after knee replacement. But God's blessed there too. He's really answered a lot of prayers there and helped her to come along and do good.
A lot of people don't understand what you go through. You kind of feel like Elijah sometimes. Lord, they've dug down your altars and killed all your prophets. I'm standing here alone. But he said, I've reserved 7,000 that have never bowed to me. So he'll always make a way.
He'll always make a way. And I'll go back to when Brother Jackie and Deanna and we had the singing group, the Gospel Crusaders. That's going back to he mentioned a while ago. And Well, we had some of the greatest times. I mean, in the Lord that you just we had praising the Lord and shouting meetings, you know, and we just had wonderful times, and I'm thankful that they're going to be with us tomorrow, and that they're with us, you know, and I'm just look forward to it.
I remember those days people said, go early if you want to get a seat.
Yes, sir, man. It was.
So it was great. Brother Van, it's been wonderful interviewing you, and you've just been an inspiration to everybody in Whitesburg, Jenkins, and Dunham area. Is there anything you'd like to say before I let you go?
I want to say, Brother Wilburn, that I appreciate everybody knowing as a pastor, God gave me a heart to love people, and I always, you know, cared for them, and I wanted to help them in any way that I could. And my desire was to see people saved, and after they're saved, to grow in grace and knowledge, and become stronger in the Lord, and to serve Him, you know, and take up their cross and follow Him. And that's what I'm still trying to do.
That's a big amen.
Our next song we're going to do is called God on the Mountain. And when you're living life on the mountain, you look to God and you think everything's easy. You're having a good time. When you get in the valley, that's the time you really need to look to God, because God's the same whether it be light or dark. On the mountain or in the valley, God's always king.
Life is easy when you're up on the mountain and you got peace of mind like you've never known. But then things change and you're down in the valley. Don't lose faith, for you're never alone.
Oh, the God on the mountain is still God in the valley. Things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. God of the day is still God in the night.
You talk of faith when you're up on the mountain. Oh, but the talk comes so easy when life's at its best. But it's down in the valley of trials and temptation, that's when faith is really put to the test.
Oh, the God on the mountain is still God in the valley. Things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. God of the day is still God in the night. God of the day is still God in the night.
This next song is called Can't Even Walk. And I suppose there's a lot of people, I heard a fellow on TV the other day say, I'm a self-made man. But the truth of the matter is, There's nothing that we can do without God. We can't even walk without God. This song here is called Cast My Bread Upon the Water.
See
good deed that'll come back to me. I cast my bread upon the water, I help me, my brother, struggling on life's stormy sea. I'll be sowing a good seed by doing a good deed that'll come back to me. I cast my bread upon the water, I help me, my brother, struggling on life's stormy sea. I'll be sowing a good seed by doing a good deed that'll come back to me. Oh, come back to me.
This is one of my favorite songs that Deanna does. It's called Sun's Coming Up.
Once again, I face Satan this morning, and I battle him all the day long. But in my weakness, God sent reinforcements, and at sundown I sang victory song. And the sun's coming up in the morning, every tear will be gone from my eyes. This old place gonna give way to glory, and like an eagle I'll take to the sky. In a world filled with doubts and confusion, well, it's so hard when you don't understand. Oh, but I'll stand on a solid foundation, and I'll hold to God's unchanging hand. And the sun's coming up in the morning, every tear will be gone from my eyes. This old place gonna give way to glory, and like an eagle I'll take to the sky. And the sun's coming up in the morning.
This song will be featuring Jackie Tackett singing, and the song's called Wounded Hands.
With hopes and dreams completely crumbled, a life was built on sinking sand. Now beneath
This next song is a old song, but we won't tell you how old because that'd tell some of our ages. But anyway, it's called Consider the Lilies.
They don't toil or spin, and there's not a king with more splendor than them. Consider the sparrows, they don't plant nor sow, they're fed by the Master who watches them grow. We have a heavenly Father above, with eyes full of mercy and a heart full of love. He really cares when your head is bowed low. Consider the lilies, and then you will know. May I introduce you to this friend of mine who hangs out the stars, tells the sun when to shine, and kisses the flowers each morning with dew. But he's not too busy to care about you. We have a heavenly Father above, with eyes full of mercy and a heart full of love. He really cares when your head is down low. Consider the lilies, and then you will know. Consider the lilies, and then you will
We hope you all have enjoyed this session that we've had here today, and we want to thank Brother Wilburn Hall and Rick Hall for helping us out here today and making this possible, filming it. We want to thank all those who support us, and we want to thank the Fundamental Baptist Church for allowing us to be here. We also want to thank Pastor Van Webb, who invited us here, and all the ones that support us, because, you know, we have families at home, and without their support, there's no way we could do this. But most of all, we want to thank God for loving us and sending His Son to die on the cross for our salvation. This next song is called Journey. Actually, it's called Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now. So, Brother Jackie's going to sing it, and hope you all enjoy it.
Well, I wouldn't take nothing
toward the Lord many years ago. Had a lot of heartache and met a lot of grief and woe. And when I would stumble and I would humble down, Lord, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey now.
Well, it wouldn't take nothing for my journey now. Gotta make it to heaven somehow. Know the devil takes me and tries to turn me around. Well, he's offered everything that's got a name, all the wealth I want, worldly fame. If I could steal, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey now.
There's nothing in the world that'll ever take the place of God's love. Silver and gold could never buy His love from above. When my soul needs healing and I begin to feel in His power, Lord, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey now.